All right, sixth grade team. We're going to try this. We are on try number 4. The first 2 sucked. The third one was okay. And then I realized I'd accidentally pushed the mute button and you couldn't actually hear anything I said for the discussion. So here we go. Fourth time is the charm, or let's hope so. Okay, I can see from what you guys are doing that we're still not really understanding how to start this DDI process with objectives, performance tasks, and success criteria. Um, so let me kind of let's walk through the process together. And I'm going to show you some of the things that I'm noticing on here that's making me say we don't know how to create aligned rigor yet. So we're still missing that. Having said that, guys, you're growing so much. We just have a long way to go. We have a big gap to cover, and this is going to be another week in learning how to cover that gap. So here we go. All right. What I'm looking for is to be able to see in the objectives through the week that you have identified the most important thinking skills, the most rigorous thinking skills, and the most highly tested things that are coming out of these clusters um, that to focus on that week. And the other skills are built in to support their ability to do those high thinking and highly tested TEKS, elements of the TEKS. Okay. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, those are all support TEKS. The highly tested TEKS are going to be in Thursday and Friday, the highly rigorous thinking that they need to be able to do with the text. There's also TEKS because remember, the clusters build on each other. So when I know we're doing one know and show each week, so we don't have to do a whole bunch of know and shows at the front. But when you get to cluster 3, you should still be pulling in the elements of clusters 1 and 2 that fit with 3 as support. That's where we messed up with the vocab. That's cluster 1. So by week 3, cluster 1's coming in to support their ability to do the higher level things that are coming in cluster 3. Okay, so we're missing some things from cluster 2 that should fit here. All right. So see that notice there's not a flow. I've got subordinate and coordinate conjunctions here. I've got vocab. I've got another day of vocab. And when you read the 2 days, they're overlapping because you're trying to separate what should be a combined skill. I've got text connections, and then I've got determining settings. So there's not a growth here where I'm seeing a development to a deep level of thinking sort of around one thing. So, what is it that these students really need to be doing? What are you asking them to do? Well, you're always asking them to pull implicit and explicit information from the text. And then you're asking them to use that implicit and explicit information to do things like understand the setting, like you have on Friday, that's important about the text, or to understand character development that's important about the text. And from that, then they're able to do things like make text to text connections. Text to text connections should have come in whenever you do your satellite text. Whatever core text you're reading, you're going to bring satellite text in around that core text. And that's naturally where the text to connections fit in. You're not just teaching them text to text connections. You're reading a text and teaching them how to analyze your mentor text. And then within that, you're saying, okay, this mentor text is historical fiction, so we need to read these background pieces that help us understand the historical fiction. Or this mentor text is a poem, and we need to understand that this poet came out of this historical time. Or this mentor text is a nonfiction text, and we need to understand more about what's going on in this informational text about this piece of it, so we're going to pull in this other informational text. How do the text naturally fit and where do they need to explore more information? That's where text to text comes in. And it should always, every time you do a mentor text, you should always have a day that folds in text to text connection to support that central text with your satellite text. So it's natural. So stop thinking, how do I hit a TEK? And start thinking, how do the TEKs work together for me to get to high level analysis? How do they flow? That's how the clusters have been developed to try to help you see the flow and then develop a week around that flow where those skills are there. So we're not seeing the flow in the way that we develop the objectives. And then we're not seeing the flow from objective to performance task to success criteria. So on any given day, what I should do is have my objective based on that flow that we've created in our unit calendar. And then from that flow, I'm coming down and I'm saying, okay, so if I'm going to teach them how to determine the meaning of ambiguous words, okay, how am I going to know at the end of the day that they've done that? What am I going to do? And I'm going to create a performance task that says, here's how I want to check it. That performance task is going to be based off what you see in the Lead Forward IQ. Okay. So how am I going to know they're successful? And then I'm going to create that performance test. I'm going to do that performance task, and that's my exemplar. Please notice 4 out of 5 of your exemplars are missing. You're missing an absolutely necessary step. So I'm going to do that. That's my exemplar. And as I do it, I'm going to say, okay, what exactly are the steps that the students are taking to show me they're successful? Now that I've done that, I can go back and say, okay, so what do I need to teach to make sure they understand each of those steps to success? So we got to work on understanding the overall flow, and we've got to work on understanding the overall flow of objectives. We talked about the overall flow of objectives at the beginning of this week. I'm getting yours this time on Friday so that we can talk about it before the next week, because the lack of organization that you have here is creating a lack of rigor and a lack of alignment in what you're actually turning over in your classes. So we got to keep working on this. We're not there yet. Okay? I appreciate all that you're doing. I know you guys are working so hard. It's not just about working harder. It's about working harder to achieve what we actually need to achieve, which is rigor and alignment in our lessons. Once we hit that, everything else then we can work on pedagogy and developing, but we've got to hit that first so we know that we're giving them what's necessary and not what we just think is cool. All right, guys. I appreciate you. I appreciate your hard work, but it's my job to keep pushing you. I'll talk to you later.